Emmanuel Shachaf, hello.
Hello, hello.
Identity, the quest for Israel's future. In this report, troops of the Israeli army are within Jenin. What is your perspective? What is going to happen? How it can change reality, the new operation?
It won't change much, if anything. It'll suppress the terror for a limited time, like it did before, like actions similar to this did years ago. As long as there's no political follow-up, the resistance remains, and the Palestinians will continue to resist occupation.
Because practically they remain without any kind of hope?
They have no hope. They have no hope. Their own Palestinian Authority is on the verge of running out of time. Abu Mazen is ending his term, literally. And there's no obvious replacement. It's not clear what's going to happen. It's not clear if Israel wants the Palestinian Authority to continue or wants to break it up. So they are at a total loss.
So you think that basically the assumption that this kind of operation is going to last and to create any kind of stopping terrorism for the coming years, it's something that it's far beyond any expectations?
No way.
No way?
No way, no. It may encourage the Palestinians' willingness to conduct even more powerful terror actions. And we have to take that into consideration. But I don't think it'll make a major change over anything more than 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Wow. At the most. And I think they will be under pressure to turn out a terror action any day, so it may not even last 2 weeks.
And another new generations of Palestinian people from Jenin that are growing up seeing Israeli troops destroying their houses again.
Yeah.
And again.
Until now they had incurred, I think, 9 or 10 deaths. Okay, they're not going to leave that. Last time we killed 6, 2 days later we had a terror action where 4 Israelis were killed. This is the playbook.
And regarding what is happening nowadays in the Israeli parliament, in the Knesset, with member of the Knesset Simcha Rotman, and trying to recreate the initiative of changing the Israeli democracy, what is your perspective regarding that?
Well, the government is trying to go through the motions. I think in the end they're going to step back. They're not going to go all the way. It'll take, the actual legislation will take another week or so, but I don't think they're going to go through with it because the demonstrations were much too powerful, and I think the government knows that it can't go through with it in the end.
So basically, why are they trying to recreate this kind of new legislations?
I think it's like a wily coyote going over the cliff and not looking down yet, but they will very quickly look down and will see that there's nothing there but the abyss. So they're going to go step back from the legislation, and they're going to try to climb down.
So it's kind of creating a dialogue between them and the base of their electors?
Yeah, I think maybe they're waiting for the base to understand that it's impossible. Okay, something has to give. Okay, and obviously it's not going to be the demonstrators.
Regarding the demonstrators?
The demonstrations yesterday at the airport were very, very powerful, very under very difficult circumstances. They were conducted, and they did a great job. They walked a very fine line of being very nerving and getting people very angry, but not going over the line, not causing no violence, no overt violence, and not causing damage and things like that. So it was a very powerful demonstration of civil disobedience.
What do you think is the main challenge that the demonstrators were facing yesterday in the airport?
First of all, they were doing the demonstration at the time when there was a military action in Jenin, and there was public sentiment against it. And also the government tried to delegitimize the demonstrations at the airport with all kinds of explanations. And none of that worked. Okay, none of that worked, and
thousands of people came.
Yeah,
during daytime.
Tens of thousands of people came. Okay, and and it was obvious that there's a big demonstration at the airport for all the passengers who came and those who left, and also for the media, of course.
Do you think that this kind of demonstrations can change the course of this government regarding, for instance, using the budget as a tool of creating new Israel, new identity here?
No, I think, first of all, they've changed the situation already, the demonstration, because they've delayed the legislation, and I think they'll continue to delay the station. With regard to the actual policies of the government, it'll be more difficult to divert the demonstrations, although it's possible. But I think to do that, it takes the opposition has to become more active. And right now, the political opposition in parliament is almost non-existent. Okay, they don't seem to want to bring down the government. They seem to try to walk a very fine line of being against what the government does, but wanting to join it under some kind of circumstances. So I think to utilize the demonstrations against government policies will only be possible if the opposition, the political opposition, will join.
Do you think that on the new settlements that are being declared again and again and again, and the coalition are stating that they are going to be happening and building new settlements in the occupied territories, and the opposition is basically saying almost nothing?
Yes.
So what do you think is going to happen practically on the ground?
I think on the ground, actually, the construction is going to go ahead. The settlements are going to go ahead, and unless the international community interferes solidly and clearly with solid steps. Okay, and I think the United States are the first country that comes to mind here, but also the European Union. They just have to play hardball. Okay, Israel doesn't understand anything but hardball.
For instance, any kind of declaration that you would imagine that could be effective in order to stop?
Well, first of all, military supplies can always be put on hold. They don't have to be declared as a step against the government regarding the settlements, but it can be said, we have problems with the spare parts, we have problems with, we need the equipment somewhere else, whatever, all kinds of. So there's plenty of ways the U.S. government can make it known to Israel that it is not happy with what's happening, and it has declared pretty much in strong terms already, several times, that it doesn't view this with favor, what's happening in the territories. But there's still a lot of possibilities, and also the Europeans can also go that way.
Do you think this is going to be one of the messages that the Biden administration is going to reflect toward the visits of President Herzog in Washington in the coming weeks?
Yeah, it probably will be, yes. I mean, he'll get an earful. He will get an earful, and he should get an earful. And I think the U.S. government should be very clear about what it wants here.
What do you think about the Jewish communities in the United States, maybe in Europe, how they should be part of this game of resistance against the legislations?
I think the Jewish communities, they have to get out of they're in an uncomfortable position, being on one side clearly against most of the policies of the Israeli government, including the legislation, and on the other side they have to be supportive of Israel vis-a-vis their own governments where they are. So they have to walk a fine line, but I think the situation in Israel will force them to go over that line and to take clear issue against the Israeli government, also with view that that the policies of the Israeli government clearly harm the Jewish communities abroad, because they increase anti-Semitism. Okay, I'm not saying that that's the only reason anti-Semitism is. There's anti-Semitism, but Israeli policies are clearly influencing the amount of anti-Semitism against Jewish communities abroad, and that has to be a part of the consideration.
What do you think should be the right timetable of them stepping in?
As soon as possible. They have to make their position known as clearly as possible, as soon as possible.
Any good news towards the end of this interview?
Well, it's good news. It's good news for me in the sense not everybody will agree, but the fact that basically the one-state solution is becoming clearer as probably one of the only ways out to resolve the conflict with the Palestinians.
With the federation.
That brings closer the federation that we are proposing, because the federation is really the only way to handle a one-state solution in a democratic way with a Jewish majority in Eretz Israel / Palestine. And the fact that abroad and also in Israel, one state is being discussed almost daily is a good sign.
How do you think, basically, the federation could moderate a solution of Israelis, Jewish people, Arab people in Israel, in Palestine, Palestinian people living as free, independent, liberal life together? How basically could it work?
First of all, we are basically already in a federal environment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the federation is, I think, the closest alternative to what we are in now. Okay, it doesn't require almost anything except reorganization of the administrative situation in the land under Israel's control. Okay, now that has to be handled carefully and over time and so on and so forth. But it means that the average person has to make very little change to his life. Okay, the system around him changes, but he doesn't have to move. He doesn't have to change his actions, his behavior, his allegiances. It's almost a natural way of growing a new society. So that's why I think it's the most likely thing to happen.
People that want to be part of this revolutionary idea, concept, part of the book, how they can be part of your community, Emmanuel?
On Facebook to Emmanuel Shachaf or Identity, the Quest for Israel's Future, or the Federation Movement, anytime.
Emmanuel Shachaf, I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.